like the intro to Mr. Rogers or something like that. How are you all doing? Hope you can hear me okay. Hope you can see me okay. Trying a few things today, so hopefully like the intro to it all works now. All right. I'm gonna draw. Yeah, let me know if the music's too loud. Rick, good to see you. Cool. I hope you're drawing along, Rick. Hope you're not just here to observe. We got a male model. Let's do it. Music's perfect. Glad to hear it. Good stuff. I would say let's get cracking on this wonderful Thursday. Music's a tad loud. And you see, Tina says it's perfect. Let's split the difference. I'll turn it down a tiny bit. Let me know if that helps. Because once again, I won't bore you with the issues I have at this end, technically. But God forbid I be able to listen to a live feed of what you guys are hearing. I try. Every week I try. And then today I tried to allow myself loads of time. But then I got caught up making that new intro again, which it's a work in progress. But it is just that, a work in progress. Hopefully by next week it'll all be every week I want things to just be a little bit better than they were the last. It doesn't always happen. I'm rambling. Let's draw. Timer is on. You know what I am going to need is my glasses, because believe it or not, even with contact lenses, glasses are necessary. Beauty of getting old. Sure. Okay, so we got some really, with this model, I just thought there were some really nice kind of rhythmical ideas. The idea is to try and capture some of that stuff where at all possible. Knee's going to be about there. Leg is almost doing that, right? There's something like that going on. Thomas, hey Thomas, how you doing, man? Probably answered this question a million times, but what brand of charcoal pencil are you using? Over the Christmas break, I'm buying a bunch of newspaper print. You see, I'm just going to be setting you up for disappointment, Thomas, because if I'm not mistaken, you are in Ireland. And I'm using, as Tina very correctly says, I'm using General's charcoal 6B pencils. You're going to have a hell of a hard time finding these. It's not that you can't find them here or in Ireland, but you're going to have a hell of a time finding them at a reasonable price and without having to buy multi-packs of pencils that you don't need. It's a bit of a faff, to be honest. If you have friends in the United States, this could be a very good time to hit them up for a favor. Get them to send you some. They could go into a store like Blick Art Supplies and have all of the charcoal pencils they ever want. But yeah, it's tough. I have ordered them. I've done it a few different ways. The other issue with these generals is they're not consistent. I can't in good conscience recommend them any longer, to be honest. And as many on the stream know, it's been the topic of much debate. But anyway. Ah, Margot, you watched the Taha video. Excellent. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? Taha. Super talented guy. And a super nice guy too. Just all round good egg. And a very, very good story artist working in animation. I think he's still in Madrid based as far as I know. Was the last time I checked. As some of you can see, I'm actually I'm kind of pushing this pose that critical 10% further than it actually is in the pose. I'm pushing this hip out a bit more to kind of exaggerate and push this kind of rhythmical idea, this line of action, and just to kind of try and help bring a little bit of additional drama into the pose. Something like that. Where is the join button? Greg, if you are on tablet, you probably don't have a join button. But if you're on a PC, the join button should be next to my name, right below the video. There is alternatively, I believe if you're on a tablet, if you go to the See Perks button, there you go, Margot's already on it. It should be where the See Perks button, if you click that, there should be a join something or other. Daniel says, I have difficulty in finding the rhythm of the arms. Well, Daniel, without the reference in front of you, you really are going to have difficulty finding the rhythm of the arms. But to try and give you a constructive answer to your question, it really is case dependent. You're saying that you have difficulty in finding the rhythm of the arms. It's pose dependent. I would really need to see the pose that you're having issue with to help find an analysis of why you're having difficulty finding the rhythm. If you're finding the difficulty finding the rhythm in the drawing I'm doing, it's because A, you don't have the reference in front of you, and B, I haven't drawn it yet. This deltoid I'm going to pull out a bit more, something like that. Trapezius coming in this way, deltoid almost feels compressed. Coming down. Oh, hate it when these things break, when we feel like there's still so much material left on the nib of it. Anyway. Thank you, Margot, for helping. Appreciate it. I'm going to try and make the membership tiers available on the website too, for those who don't want to go through YouTube. So hopefully that's something I can roll out soon. Obviously our subject has shorts on, which we are going to kind of indicate because it does help. I'll give context to everything, right? If you know what I mean. Okay, so coming around, ASIS is on this side, obviously oblique, coming up iliac crest. So I actually need to pull our oblique up, and then, which actually suits us nicely. Because then it helps us find that idea with a little bit more clarity. And we can even pull this out here a little bit. Oh, Rick. I meant that I have difficulty finding rhythm of the arms when I'm drawing gesture. Yeah, look, Greg, some poses, oh sorry, Daniel. Some poses really lend themselves, like, look, I think at least with this arm, for example, the rhythmical idea is quite clear. Sometimes it's a little bit more abstract, or finding that rhythmical idea is harder. Typically when we're dealing with a lot of foreshortening, finding rhythm is going to be harder. There's no kind of like one magic piece of advice you can give to that, because honestly, something like finding the rhythm in the arms is something that's going to come with a whole series of kind of skills, right? It's not just it's not something in isolation. Oh, I can help fix you finding the rhythm of the arms. There's probably a number of other things that trip you up in your understanding of where the rhythm of the arms is, if that makes sense. It's not kind of an isolated issue, if you know what I mean. What's the difference between rhythm and gesture? What an interesting question, Rick. Gesture is a stage and a way of thinking about a particular stage of the drawing progress, or it can be a stage or a finished idea in its own right. Rhythm, you can find rhythm in many things, right? You can find rhythm in gesture, but rhythm isn't dependent on gesture, if that makes sense. Like, for example, I could find rhythm between two interlocking ideas of anatomy that aren't really gestural ideas, so to speak, right? So there's rhythm in gesture. Not all rhythm is dependent on gesture, if that makes sense. Though the two are very closely interlinked, if that makes sense. Generally speaking, though, you won't find gesture without rhythm. But yeah, it is interesting. I hope that makes sense. Hopefully I can give clarity or an example of, you know, what that means exactly as we go on. If I feel like there's an example that presents itself, I'll highlight it. Yes, coming down, dividing that inner thigh from the outer. Something like that. Where are we at? 16 minutes. I think for I think we're pretty close calling it for this one. Yeah, that's men are mutant women, basically. Anyway, we're going down that path. All right, good first pose. That was fun. Let's see what's next. Something a little quieter and yet not in no way necessarily easier. Rhythm is part of gesture. Gesture is not part of Rhythm. That is about rhythm, and Fahrenheit really hated people. Rhythm has always tripped me up. It's a tricky one, isn't it? There's a few words, even at 52 years old, I still, before I write them down or type them, I have to really think. And if spell check isn't there to help me, sometimes there are just some words I'll abandon and rephrase the sentence so as to not have to use a word. I've done that more than once. Amos says, like when Richard draws, there's a rhythm of application, which, as I've noticed, does not fixate on one landmark. The model, rhythm of application, is like 5%. One arm is made. All right, let me talk. Yeah, look, I think that there's a lot of people saying a lot of things, and there's not necessarily a right or a wrong to this particular question about rhythm. So look, let's say we're at the gestural stage of the drawing right now, right? Let me reset the clock. Okay. There we go. All right, so we're at the gestural / rhythm stage of the drawing. Now, obviously, I want to find the large rhythmical ideas. What's the large rhythmical idea, which is also going to inform the gesture? Because I'm asking myself two questions. I'm asking myself about the gestural stage of the drawing. The questions at this stage tend to be very rhythmic dominated, right? Shoulders. I want to find the large rhythmical idea of this back. Coming this way, coming down to the seat, and then we've got this rhythmical idea kind of, it pauses just ever so slightly, but then it continues kind of this way, right into the leg. So rhythmically, even though I'm thinking gesturally as well, rhythmically I'm thinking about the rhythm, these large rhythmical ideas that go from the upper torso to the lower torso. We're ultimately, and it's difficult with a seated pose like this, but the idea is that we want to find graceful ways of connecting large forms. Upper torso, lower torso, leg, etc. Overlocking or overlapping rhythmical ideas would tend to hopefully get us there. They also tend to be what we're looking for from a gestural point of view. Let's find spine. Coming down. Iliac crest. Because we're looking down at our subject, I'm actually going to draw the iliac crest in this kind of orientation. Really kind of like the mass of the oblique sitting there. Okay, spine. Scapula. This arm is kind of pushing back this way. Elbow. Elbow is roughly close to where the dip is for where this region in here. So this is a kind of just even as a placeholder. That'll do me. And then I'm looking at how far, if this is say where the gluteus is, bottom. Wrist is down about here, right? I actually think it would be a very useful thing to draw the box that he's sitting on here. Will help ground the orientation. Something like that. It's even just loosely. Take care, Tina. Have a lovely weekend. We'll see you next time. You can't have tunnel vision on one piece. You can't. Yeah, that's one thing, and maybe we don't talk about this enough. But constantly got to. I jump around. You can't, in my opinion, you can't stay in one place on the drawing too long, especially at this stage in the drawing where we're building up large ideas. It's absolute death to the drawing if we focus in, and I'm guilty of it, and usually when I do it, my drawing suffers because of it. Is, you know, it's so easy, especially when something's either very beautiful and you really want to draw it, or something's very difficult and you spend a lot of time on the analysis of it. It's incredibly easy to get kind of pigeonholed in on something. So I'm going back this way. Ruth, welcome. Another one joins. I was going to say the dark side, but it's not the dark side. It's the light side. Right? Something like that. Welcome, Ruth. You find a link to the reference that we're drawing from in the community chat. Go ahead and you'll see a link to the reference posted on my website. So we do have this other leg to consider. If I've made that too long. Yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Let's see. And we've got this other leg, which is obviously very foreshortened. Sitting in here. All right, reading chat. I should be drawing. I have to keep an eye on you guys. Make sure there's no monkey business going on. Deltoid is actually probably about there. Something like that. Oh, Rick. Did Rick get flagged? I'm confused. All right. I don't know. You guys. I'm starting to hopefully lock down a few of these ideas. Deltoid. And we got this tricep, which has got some lovely. You see that split, the separation, nice, right about there. Also helps us understand how these planes turn in space. Like that. Yeah. Obviously, yeah, as I just said, so that is the tricep, this whole region in here. We don't give enough attention to the triceps, possibly. Maybe we need to do an anatomy session. So from here, you just see kind of like the rib cage coming down this way, and then the oblique, tummy / oblique. Not that this guy has much in the way of a tummy, it's stomach obviously. So pretty lean, something like that. Shorts sitting about there. So we've got this long line of the back to deal with here. Yeah, let's get into it. So going from the buttock into the lower back, really the transition straight into the rib cage because of the angle. Stick is obscuring the latissimus / scapula combo in this area, but that's essentially what's happening there. Deltoid sitting in there, and then obviously tricep. Sitting in there. Can't see it because once again the stick is covering it, but the acromion process, that all-important acromion process, is sitting right about there. The trapezius coming down from this direction here, coming down, making that pinch and meeting in there. Right, deltoid on this side. Bicep. Rick says, Richard exaggerated the bend of the left arm so much more than I did. Mine looks like a straight arm. Comes back to that idea, Rick, of just when we're hitting that gestural, that first stage, with those large gestural ideas, try and get in the habit of pushing, exaggerating just a little bit, because then as you add detail, it's going to calm down, right? But things, it's such a weird phenomenon with drawing that things tend to straighten out and stiffen up the more detail that we add. So you want to kind of give yourself that fighting chance at the beginning stage of the drawing to kind of compensate for it. It's one of the things I see almost, I'd say most of all, is people being too literal to the model or to the reference in those initial stages. All right. I think we can do a little bit of a tonal pass on this one. Where are we at? 20 minutes. Yeah, we can give this like another 5 minutes, right? How do I feel about rendering everything as if top lit? The light coming from above. Generally speaking, I'm not. Look, there's a place for it, and if that's your intention, I would say go for it. I think that generally speaking, you're making life difficult for yourself, going for something that's very top lit. Like we're already dealing with something where the light source is at what, like maybe between 10 and 11 o'clock right now. It does get, like, by all means, like there's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's just harder, in my opinion, at least for me. Like I'll light this a little bit right now, but I'm going to follow for the most part what I'm seeing here. So I'm just going to hit some core and cast shadow coming off this arm, coming obviously down into tone. I haven't drawn the cane. I guess I probably should indicate it. Yeah, I think it is, and just generally, at least for me, it is harder. And the thing is, it's like you have to ask yourself, like, if there was true value in it as far as what it was bringing to the drawing, maybe it's a case of, you know, it's worth fighting for. I would have a hard time making a case for it. And given that drawing is hard enough, is there any reason to make things any harder than they need to be? It does just occur to me that I forgot this foot, so I'm just gonna pop that in there. Not that I think it really needs it, but you know. All right, let's Let's do some blocking in here. We have cast shadow coming off here. All right. It's my pencil. Alternative shadow drawing from the imagination, says Michael. At least for me, I'm not sure I would have the patience for something like that. At least not right now. Thomas asks, would you typically prefer charcoal pencils over charcoal sticks? Find charcoal sticks to be messy pain. So here's the thing, Thomas, I'll just do a very quick thing about charcoal, just in general. Willow charcoal doesn't stick to newsprint. You can literally draw it on and it will wipe right off. So then we're stuck with charcoal sticks, compressed charcoal, a la what we have here. I think there's a place for them, especially like in quick gestures and that. Like I wouldn't mind switching to a charcoal stick, but here is my feeling, and I've said this 1,000 times, so I'll keep it brief. Generally speaking, charcoal or any medium is scale dependent. In my opinion, a charcoal stick like this is far too big to be working on a board this size without it becoming a sloppy mess. But then if I was had to do a figure drawing that was life size, for example, this would be probably my weapon of choice. It's something scaled very well within a range, and then sometimes it doesn't. That's basically my quick charcoal or material in general kind of spiel. Because I think that there's a lot of people get tripped up when they first start working with charcoal, especially when you're starting out. You know, charcoal is a tricky beast to begin with. To be trying to do figure drawing with sticks of charcoal and expecting anything but chaos is an exercise in futility, as they say, in my opinion. At least for me. Maybe I'm just not, I don't have the chops, but that would be my feeling. So the pencils tend to find they scale well to what we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna call it there. Seems like as good a place as any. My microphone's a little hot, is it? Okay. Can turn it down a tad. I'm cautious to turn it down too much. Let me know. I won't start screaming into the mic. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Now, where did that go? Okay. All right. Patrick says, I just looked up general charcoal pencils from Blick Art Supplies, $148 each. That's US dollars. I would strongly advise that you buy by the box. That price will go down a little bit. I would actually know. I take that back. I would strongly advise that you go and check them in person and you test each and every 6B that you buy and make sure it's not scratchy. That's what I recommend. All right, next pose. I think I need to go to landscape. What have we got left here? Just curious. While it's not similar, this pose feels very similar to what we just did. Ah, it is what it is. Let's do it. Sorry, hold on a second. I'm back. Well, there's these ones that they make, Patrick. These Primo. I only have they're called 3B. It's the softest 3B that I've ever experienced. It's far closer to like a 10B. Way softer than their 6B. But apparently there is an HB Primo, which I've yet to try, which is next on my shopping list. And I think, I'm hoping the Primo HB turn out to be a good fit. They were recommended by Jaeger, who we haven't heard from in a while. But yeah, so I've got the Primo here. Just as I said, these 3B, they're just too soft. Like, they're good for gesture, but they're actually good for blocking in tone as well. But yeah, there you go. All right. The music's too loud. Is it still too loud? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. Let's draw. Okay. So a seated, relatively quiet pose. Let's see how this goes. Joyce. Hey, Joyce. How do you sharpen your charcoal? Every time I try to sharpen it to a point, I break the tip. Yeah, you can't do that. Basically, what I do is I take a pencil like that, and I take my scalpel, and I very carefully reveal material, and I reveal it till it looks something probably, well, there would be a bit more showing, but you see the way it's kind of like it's flat at the top. It's not a point yet. Then I take an old filing nail file, something like this, and then I take that relatively flat topped, and I rotate it very slowly and gently against the against this emery board until I get the tip. And that's how you want to do it. Okay. Okay, let's go. So, coming up, head of the humerus, sitting about here, and this arm's coming down. We're just going to ballpark things for right now. This leg coming out this way. Okay, and this leg coming about here, heel is about here. Ballpark. Knees sitting about there. Yeah, it's probably a little long. Knees probably about here. And this leg going down this way. Oh, camera, thank you. There we go. Thanks, Patrick. How interesting. How interesting. Tell me something. I'm very curious to know, guys. Are you seeing banding, light banding going across here? I'm guessing it's on the stream as well. Let me know if you can see that. Okay, so there's a fascinating thing. I changed, so you know, so fascinating. So I can't fix it right now because it would mean rebooting that camera, but I changed my camera from PAL to NTSC. So you Americans work on NTSC, as I'm sure you know. Us Europeans a lot of us anyway, operate on PAL. Now, what's the difference between PAL and NTSC, I hear you ask? Well, basically, PAL runs on 50. So basically, PAL is a format to compensate for the fact that our electricity runs on 50 hertz. Yours in America, I say yours, in America, it's 60 hertz. So NTSC is set at 60 hertz, so that your light, when you have your lights, your camera looking at your lights don't strobe. And we have PAL at 50 hertz for the same reason, so that when we're in a room, especially with old style lighting, the refresh rate will be the same, right? I changed my camera to NTSC so I would have more options for frame rates. And consequently, I'm now seeing banding on the screen. So there you go, you learned something. You guys saying you're saying you're not seeing the banding. That's good. I'm seeing it on my display. It's very subtle, but there's banding going up the screen. I'm glad it's not making it to the stream. Maybe it's something that YouTube compensate for. Yeah, interesting. So there you go. I will change my camera back to PAL, and then I won't have that issue. So, you know, growing up, I always knew about the NTSC PAL thing, but I never knew why. I always just assumed it was a way to stop us in Europe looking at content from the US, like say before it was released here or whatever, but apparently no. So, pectoral, sternum. Saw it on the drawing hand as well, but it's all over the screen. It's hardly visible. Never would have noticed if you didn't say anything. Yes, but you shouldn't see it, right? Take care. See you, Thomas. I learned so much on the stream. So do I, Margot. Or I learned so much because of the stream. Okay, so can't really see it, but we know the oblique is sitting here. Learn to love and to hate. We were doing so well, Rick. Now, if you just said, I learned to love and just left it at that, how nice that would have been. But you couldn't leave it alone, could you? What a shame. What a shame. What a damn shame. It's okay. Michael Alv says, how many anatomical landmarks do you usually use? Well, I believe there are a few major landmarks that everyone really needs to know. And Michael, as you've probably heard me say before, or maybe you haven't, I'm personally of the feeling that landmarks are even more important, than knowing anatomy, although one could argue that they are inherently the same thing. I guess the difference is, for me, a landmark is actually, they generally tend to be places on the body where the skeleton reveals itself for the most part. So for example, the manubrium, the pit of the neck, is a very important landmark in my opinion. In fact, let me go through an order of importance. For me, right? Not for anyone else necessarily, but my order of importance for landmarks. For the front would be the aces, where the iliac crest comes to the belt line at the front of the form, where the iliac crest turns. At those 2 points of the aces, I believe from the front, it's probably the landmark that's the most important. Although nothing is in isolation, ultimately. Anyway, I will continue. The second would be the pit of the neck, the manubrium. Third would probably be, let's say, the xiphoid process, or where the arch of the rib cage, the apex of the arch of the rib cage, right? There's a little bumpy bit at the end of the sternum called the xiphoid process. Super important to know where that is. From the back, I believe that the sacrum, the sacral dimples, they are the back's equivalent of the aces. Super, super, super important to understand where those sacral dimples are, because they'll give you the axis of the pelvis. Then the next one in my list would actually be the acromion process, right here, where this little process that comes off the scapula at the back, the shoulder blade, right? It comes off and then there's points forwards here. The head of the humerus sits underneath it. The middle part of the deltoid attaches to it. That acromion process, I get more mileage out of understanding where that acromion process is than just about anything else. Another one that's very useful from the back is the occipital ridge, where obviously where the skull and the spine connect, but also just below that in importance, I would say, is C7 and T1, the two vertebrae that tend to reveal themselves at cervical 7 and thoracic 1, the top of the rib cage. That kind of tells you where the top of the rib cage is. So that's a really useful one to know. Those would be the landmarks that I think are absolute need to knows. Then you can get into well, that would be nice to know, but not necessary. It's not even about whether it's critical. It's about how much mileage you'll get out of a landmark. I think you'll get way more mileage out of knowing where the aces is and how to locate them than you will understanding all the muscles, all the different muscles of the quadricep system, say for the legs, for example. Not that that's necessarily a good analogy, but your thinking as a kid. It's always appreciated. Thanks, Lulu. I'm glad. Well, thanks to you guys for that as well. Yeah, look, absolutely. Those are worth noteworthy notes. Very much so. Because it's so easy when you start off to kind of convince yourself that the more anatomy you know, the better, and that's what you should focus your time on. And there's not to say that there's no value in that, but you see, I'm a firm believer that the anatomy is going to kind of learn itself to some degree or another. If you stick at this long enough, you kind of learn the anatomy kind of by default, just in your ongoing curiosity about what it is that you're drawing, or in an attempt to problem solve what it is that you're looking at. But those landmarks, you can immediately start to get some serious mileage out. That's my feeling. It's trapezius, really. You know, the thing is, I'd say probably a lot of people get turned off figure drawing when this idea of this kind of imaginary prerequisite of anatomy is kind of like thrust upon the new student, and it can get so intimidating. So they think that, oh, well, yeah, I need to open an anatomy book and kind of go through it, and it's just not the way that we learn things, in my opinion. You're watching Big. Nice. Cool. I do tend to watch a lot of YouTube on my TV too. All right, where are we at? 23 minutes. More to the point, what time is it? 6:22. There. I think for lighting, we're not going to go nuts on this one, but we'll just we'll follow what's on the reference. It's super clear and feels really relatively straightforward. All right. Little blend, we'll call it. Thank you, man. Appreciate the nice words. Always appreciate compliments. Who doesn't? interesting pose. Like nothing too crazy, but you know, some nice long lines. I think I'm going to call it there. Michael, you're very welcome for the answer, of course. I try to draw landmarks from all sides every day. Hard work, but very helpful. You know what? Give you a little exercise here you can do for yourself, Michael. Maybe this is the way that you're doing it, but let me just indulge me for a second. So the way I would look at it, like if you want to kind of, you know, especially when we talk about drawing from memory, right, and repetition, developing our language, right, of fluency in our language, just get used to kind of just taking something, say for example, upper torso, lower torso, could be real simple. Take something like this, say to yourself, okay, where's my center line? My center line is going to be about here, about 1/3 of the way down on the lower box. I'm going to come in, I'm going to find my aces about here and here. I'm going to go up with my iliac crest, inguinal ligament coming down to the pubic bone. Notice the way I'm not coming down all the way down to here. That's the gluteus at the back of the form. All right, something like that. So here, manubrium is going to sit about here. Clavicles coming up this way, right, on each side. Coming down sternum. Arch of the rib cage is going to be sitting in somewhere like this. Right? Then we know, okay, the oblique is sitting on top of here, right? And then the oblique is actually kind of almost kind of connecting these ideas, right? So we get the wall, the abdominal wall coming down almost kind of nice and straight there, something like that. But even just with that alone, that exercise right there, we've got the aces here and here. We've got the xiphoid process here. We've got the manubrium, the pit of the neck here, right? Halfway between the top of the, or the bottom of the rib cage and the top of the iliac crest is where our navel will sit. Right here, and we can even then put in our center line, kind of following the topography a little bit more, like something like that, right? That to me is, get to the point where you can do that from memory, right? And then obviously the same from the back, the same, exact same kind of concept. You don't need to draw more than that. The rest will kind of fall into place, right? Very, very easy to kind of say, okay, you know, head of the humerus here, maybe this arm is going up this way, you know, pectoral muscles coming down this way, attaching at the 5th and the 6th rib, sitting in here. On this side, it's going to be more relaxed, sitting something like that, etc. Right? Deltoid coming down like so, latissimus coming in this way. And you can subdivide and subdivide and subdivide to your heart's content as far as how far you want to take this idea. But get used to just drawing that upper and lower torso over and over and over and over and over again until you can do it in your sleep, almost, right? That exercise, finding those landmarks over and over again, and then being able to look at a model and finding them. Repetition. Do this exercise every morning before your Cocoa Krispies, and you'll be a better artist for it. Take care, Joyce. See you next week. All right. We have 30 minutes. So I think we're going to aim probably for 2:15s here, huh? Give or take. Let's see. But depending on how long this drawing takes, we may end up shortening the amount of time for the next one. That's an Instagram shot right there. Yeah, apart from, I'm not giving Instagram none. Instagram aren't getting any more free content from me. I will advertise as and when I need to on there. I'm done with Instagram. But I appreciate the spirit of what you're saying. Thank you. Okay. Let's do it. Now on this next one, we have a lot of rhythmical, gestural, rhythmical ideas. I almost want to say that 15 minutes is too long for a pose like this, because it very much feels like it's in the spirit of gesture. But let's see. So Rick, don't be afraid to push, really push. Right, look, I'm completely going overkill here. All right, we have that heavily foreshortened arm that we were talking about so long ago, Lulu. Remember you were talking about the finger pointing at the screen. We don't quite have a finger pointing at the screen, although the index finger almost is. But it's the spirit of that kind of idea, right? So I am going to be pushing, continuing the rhythmical idea, right, of this kind of long sweeping line, even though it's not quite like that on the reference. I almost kind of want to break, almost just to the point of breaking, and then pull back just ever so slightly. Practice of consciously accentuating gesture. I think it's really critical for the process. Now, I don't particularly want to draw a gun, plastic or otherwise. So what will I put in this hand? Maybe nothing. Ribcage. Going up latissimus. Maybe I've pushed too far. Yeah. If you don't draw that Nerf gun, you're not drawing. All right. What can I say? What will I draw? You're not peer pressuring me. Dare you? I think I'll succumb to peer pressure. I'm drawing the gun. I did think about it for a minute there. It almost worked. And I realized I'm not in high school. Listen to the school bully. That leg is broken. You see, okay, so there's a lesson, there's a learning moment in here for us all. You know, I say push it till it almost breaks. Guess what? I pushed it till it broke. So, we can all take something away from what I have done here. See, I make the mistakes so you don't have to. That's how generous I am. Glitching, huh? Sorry to hear that. It's the television, yeah. TV can't handle the awesomeness. Yes. Don't start. Okay, Lulu. Telling people to use erasers on their HDMI ports and such is, I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing to be suggesting. Not that I'm saying it, not that it might not work for you, but it's over most people's pay grade. Richard, curious if you would angle the right foot out and show the heel on that leg. Actually, no, I wouldn't, Margot, and I'll tell you why. Ignoring my ridiculously broken leg here, you will lose that rhythmical energy that we've got going here, even though we've got maybe gone too far. You will lose that if you push this leg out this way. I think that this is really, you could argue that this is kind of like the story of this pose, is this rhythm coming down here. If you push this foot out this way, you break that rhythm. Should I have pulled back 10% here? Absolutely, I should have. Hopefully you get the spirit of what it was I was trying to do. Looks like a typical superhero leg to me. No, it does. I'm sure there are some artists out there that would promote such an idea. You see, Jim, we're trying to work within the boundary. We're trying, at least, to work within the boundaries of good taste. is a little crass. It's a little too on the nose, if you know what I mean. So it's not that there's not a place for this, and you'll see people all day long drawing this kind of nonsense. It's too much. It's too much. It's like we're not 5, all right? This is not for us. The spirit of that is correct. The execution, it's tacky. As is this drawing. I'm done. We have one final drawing to be done. It's going to be a challenge in its own right. We have 11 minutes to do it. See what happened to our 15-minute pose? Time got eaten up. It'll be a 10-minute pose by the time we get started. Marvel called, they wanted their gesture back. Yeah, not just Marvel. This kind of gets into the well, let's leave names out of it. Yeah, Marvel. We'll go with Marvel. This is a tricky pose to finish on. You know, actually, guys, I'm going to do something super unorthodox here. No, I'm not. I'm going to draw this pose like a good citizen. I was going to say, for the last pose, I wanted to go back and revisit one from last week, but we'll do that another time. Let me skip this song, reset the clock, and we're good for just about 10-minute pose. Let's see what we can do. super difficult pose. Like finding the overall large gestural silhouette, so to speak, isn't really difficult, but there is some serious foreshortening going on that I'm not capturing. Anyway, it is what it is. It's our last pose and we've got 6 minutes left, so skedaddle. Okay. Oblique. Pectoral going into deltoid. No. Here we go. It's our Austin Powers time of the day. Jesus. Push. No. Really need to remove that from the playlist. been a good session today, I think. All in all, it's been a good workout. Been an interesting model. Nice level of athleticism on this guy, you know, like nothing too crazy. We're not drawing a bodybuilder, but he's still brought some really dynamic ideas to the table. So I've enjoyed this one. Now we're at the 10-minute mark. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty drawn out, all drawn out now. I'm ready to call it for the day. That was, yeah, good session. Was it a perfect drawing to finish on? No. But that's okay. Yeah, we'll cut ourselves some slack. All in all, not, you know, I think we can be satisfied enough with today's effort. Well, Rick, we're all here for each other, right? And yeah, at least hopefully for a few hours a week, we can find some sanity and some peace in some drawing. What a nice idea. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. As always, of course, it goes without saying. Lulu, thank you for modding, as per usual. I don't thank you enough, but I do appreciate you keeping an eye on things, keeping things civilized. Not that we generally need to, I don't think, unless there's a lot that you're taking care of that I never see, but I think all in all, it's a good group of people. Guys, genuinely, thank you. We will do this all again next week. In the meantime, you know the drill. First and foremost, you're going to hit that like button. Right? You're going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to hit the like button. I'll hit that right now. Thank you. And secondly, probably more importantly, take care, look after yourselves. You know, things are going to be okay. Things are going to be just fine. Thank you very much, Rick, for that last minute support there. Much appreciated, genuinely much appreciated. Appreciate all of you. Thanks so much, guys. I will see you next week. In the meantime, head over to the Discord channel, pop your drawings up, ask a question. You might just see me over there at some point. And you know, yeah, keep drawing. All right, guys, take care of yourselves. I will see you next week. Cheers. Bye.